I use technology for everything, for my work, for school.
TV, social sites like Twitter, Facebook. I'm on Instagram a lot.
For fun, Facebook, writing articles, things like that. Contact with family and friends.
I use technology about every day, probably for everything I do. Schoolwork, I text, I make phone calls.
I'm always on my iPhone, whether it's outside, in class.
What else do I use it for?
I buy tickets online.
Phones, video games, TV.
Classroom, there's not that much technology used, even though it is available in the smart rooms. It doesn't always work. So in that sense, it is not always positive, it is not always negative. However, with the Blackboard premise, you can use a lot of YouTube clips, and that's a nice asset that we have.
I do use an iPad and an iPhone. And I see technology being used mostly as being able to connect me to information really speedily. So I can know what is happening on this, from the weather to the New York Stock Exchange to the latest article in the Chronicle of Higher Education. It's all in my pocket, and I don't have to go to the library and pull out a book, and I can get it all. I can access it all from wherever I am. I learned this really freaky thing on the iPhone. Do you know on pictures or your gallery that this thing knows where you took the picture?
I tend to use a little bit of everything. I use, of course, a laptop, then desktops and iPads and iPhones. I use my iPhone probably the most just because it has everything that I need, because you can email and text message and Facebook and Maps and Yelp and, you know, all of those kinds of things. So I'm a heavy smartphone user. I type a lot to talk with friends who live far away and FaceTime and those kinds of things. I don't even have a TV actually because I do everything through my computer now.
To play games?
Yeah.
What do you play games on?
iPhone.
You use iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
You use the iPad?
Yeah.
What kind of games do you like?
Temple Run and Angry Birds. That's it.
Like Xbox?
Yeah.
What kind of games do you play on Xbox?
Zombies. Sometimes I talk to my brother.
On the phone?
Yeah, when he's in college.
What do you use the computer for?
Like just to type stuff.
Type of stuff like what?
Like words.
Positive and negative. Where there's positive, there's always another side to it. Positive in the fact that it makes everything easier to do. More access to information, like the computers instead of going to the library to do research on books like they used to do back in like the 1700s. Now, you can just go on Google and be like, hey, how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop? 964, depending on the tongue. You know what I mean?
I think it's both positive and negative, because it can be positive, it like keeps you up to date, like news, and you can keep in contact with family and friends. It's a positive impact because everyone's using it.
It's positive as in I can just Google whatever I want, and I don't have to go to a library and like find some type of information, whatever I need. I could just go on my iPhone 4, whatever technology you have. And it's
a good thing because it's really convenient if you have to do something quickly or if you need information. It's right at your fingertips, and especially if you have to get in contact with someone, they're right there. It's a lot easier than it was, say, 60 years ago.
I think being connected to information is really good for humanity, and being connected to people across the globe is really good for humanity.
So I think it's positive in a lot of ways because I think it makes access to information easier. I think in higher education, I love the idea of democratizing that access to education, that people who normally may not be able to go to school or take certain classes or be able to go to certain institutions, if they have that access to those professors or to those classes or to those schools, I mean, that makes everybody's lives richer because we're becoming a more educated populace, and especially with international education. If somebody from Africa can take a class in the United States and then they turn around and apply what they learned in their, in their communities in Africa or Asia or Central or South America, that makes the whole world a richer, better place.
Negative, like we're becoming too dependent on like computers and like cell phones.
Negative in the sense that there are restrictions, but there's always a way around them.
I have grave concerns about our capacity for having face-to-face, human, personal touch interaction.
It's dangerous because the access is so unlimited and so easy that anybody could go on the internet and talk to an 89-year-old pedophile who likes little girls in skirts and tutus, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's the negative part.
Right now, one of the big things that is a concern is cheating. How do you monitor who is looking up answers on a test? How do you monitor what's going on in class? How do you stop and construct conversations in class when they're texting everybody? So yeah, that's a big problem in the classroom in the sense that it is a negative in the change of technology through this past generation.
Technology allows us to be more and more abstracted away from the earth in many ways, and that worries me, that people will see technology as a panacea and takes us farther away from kind of our understanding of our position in an ecosystem.
Do you feel like we as Americans are being socialized to view our lives through a screen? Like whenever you go somewhere really cool and you see people taking 1 billion pictures on their iPhone and it's automatically going up on Facebook, people aren't experiencing the world around them. They're only experiencing the world around them, and they're immediately thinking about how that's going to be perceived by others on a social networking site, or how that's going to go up on Instagram or Flickr, or texting somebody a picture. People aren't actually being in the moment. They're thinking about 5 minutes after the moment and how that improves their image or their social status or whatever. So I think in that way it can be dangerous, because I don't think we live in the present anymore, or that we live truly connected with the immediate people around us. Kind of straddle the line between Gen X and millennials. So like I didn't really like have a computer growing up. I remember having computers at school, but I remember like when my family got our first computer, I was in junior high. And it was really to like play games or like this really ugly word processing program. And then I really started using computers in high school, and like we had to take a computer class and typing and everything.
Working with technology in 1983 as a professional, working for an aerospace company, and I taught people how to use message handling systems and database management systems before there was such a thing as email, before there were mice, and before there were man-machine interfaces. So I've seen things change a lot. Escaped having to learn how to use a slide rule in chemistry because the calculators had just come out. And that was very exciting because I was scared to death of a slide rule. But I was a technology resistor for a really, really long time. I didn't like it. I didn't like answering machines because I didn't like to put my voice on answering machines. So let's see.
It's generationally different. I was a really late text messenger, just because I thought it was weird to have conversations over text message. I'm 29. And my grandma actually is the one who shamed me into learning how to text message, because she would text message me. I had this really, like 1999, my first phone was a Nokia, like the brick phone, and I used it for like 8 years because I loved it because it was indestructible. I couldn't figure out how to text message on it, and my grandma would text message me, and I would always just call her back, and she'd be like, why didn't you just text message me back? So I was like, okay, I need to learn. And it was also really like letters and postcards and greeting cards and those kinds of things, but I think that's maybe the historian in me, and just sentimental, and I like having paper. And I think also as a historian, I was a history major in college, and it was so cool to go into archives and look at people's letters and journals, and like you have those artifacts.
As far as a generation seeing the difference between the use of technology, yes, all the students come in with their smartphones and their iPads and their Blackberries, whatever it might be. That has changed significantly. So you have all sorts of dynamics. But again, 4 years ago, nobody knew what to do. 5 years ago, YouTube, nobody knew what to do. The access to the World Wide Web has just exploded. And it's a real challenge in teaching.
My siblings are younger than I am, and they use technology for everything. Like, when I was younger, growing up, I used to write letters, read encyclopedias. They don't even know what an encyclopedia is. They use everything online. They Google all their research, and it's kind of sad that they don't use books as much, and they're using everything online, but it's just the way life is, I guess. At a camps, I work with like little kids, and they all say that they don't even have notebooks, they do everything on the computer. So it's like, they don't even like if they don't know a math problem, they can just click answer. They don't even need to know how to do it. There's no it's just, everything's just, like, they know how to do more than like I do.
I feel like our generation and the generation before us is kind of on the same page with technology. They're obviously going to get introduced to a lot newer technology later on in life, but as of right now, they're really tech savvy. Definitely not the same when I was 10.
Alright. Wait, say your name, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
How old are you?
7.
When did you start using your phone?
Yeah, 4.
You were 4?
Yeah.
Because whatever we do is automatically preserved forever on Twitter and Facebook. So, people get to do the dumb things that we all do in our teens and 20s without it coming around and haunting them in their 40s and 50s. Or how are we going to judge people by the dumb things that they did in their 20s or 30s? Because you see so many things in the digital world tearing people's lives apart. I'm worried about in 50 or 100 years, what people are going to say about us, or if they're going to look on MySpace, and think like that was really what people's lives were like really bad GIF files. And are we defined by what we put out there on the, or how does what we put on the internet define who we are in real life? Or can we even say that there's a real life us and a digital us anymore, or they are one and the same?